My next guest tonight is a writer for the New York Times Magazine, a fellow at Yale Law School, co-host of Slate's Political Gabfest, and a friend of mine. Please welcome Emily Bazelon. Emily, what a treat to have you back, not just for me, but I'm sure for many of the people who watch this show, who used to watch the Colbert Report, because you were our go-to legal expert to explain just what the hell was going on with any legal case or with the Supreme Court. So just for old time's sake, Emily, what the hell is going on right now?
You gotta give me something a little more specific,
Okay,
Stephen.
we'll
just
get
a little more.
Several things. Okay, the first thing is that you've got a new book out right now called Charged: The New Movement to Transform American Prosecution and End Mass Incarceration, which we'll get to in just one moment.
Okay, thank you.
That's a teaser. That's a tease. Let's talk about the hearing today where Attorney General Bill Barr was on Capitol Hill, ostensibly to talk about the Justice Department budget. But, of course, everybody was asking him about Mueller. And he says that you're going to get something in about a week, you know, kind of vague about that. Congress has said, give us the whole thing. And he said, don't expect that. If they get a judge to say, no, you got to give them the whole thing, what happens then?
Well, throughout American history, we've had these courts, and they get to resolve conflicts like this. So
yeah,
when
but Trump says courts are the problem. Courts are the problem.
Right.
Bad judges.
Right, but throughout American history, we've had separations of powers clashes, and sometimes the courts stay out of conflicts between Congress and the president. They don't really want to inject themselves, but in your imagined world where a court were to order the president to turn over the Mueller report to Congress and the president defied that order, were that to happen, that would be like a 5-alarm fire constitutional crisis. That's the thing that everyone will try really hard to prevent, an actual direct conflict.
But what if it's not Trump? What if the Trump just goes, AG says no. The AG says, no, it's not me. And the court says, no, AG, you have to hand it over. And the AG says, no, I'm not going to do it. What then happens? I know it's a crisis, but like you and what army, in other words, can compel this thing to be released? Well,
the you and what army question is why it's so unlikely we would have this direct conflict. A conflict between the Supreme Court and the Attorney General is the same as between the Supreme Court and the President, right? Because the Attorney General works for the President. We're talking about the executive branch.
Okay.
But the you and what army has always been a problem for the courts. And so when we've gotten to the brink of this in the past, the courts have kind of backed off, right? So the famous case, the most important case really in Supreme Court history, Marbury versus Madison, 1803, the court asserts its power, but then it backs off actually ordering the president at the time to do something he didn't want to do. And so you see courts kind of trying to say, well, in theory, in principle, we could do this, but in reality, we're not going to push you to the brink of defying us because we don't have an army.
And did the president defy the court in 1803?
No, because the Supreme Court kind of spared him doing that. They said, you don't actually have to fulfill this order. We're not going to give you a direct order that you would defy.
So if Trump says no, there's really nothing the court can do about it.
Well, I would argue that if Trump said no to a direct order from the Supreme Court, that people would resign all over the place, that Congress would...
You'd think.
Yes, I want this.
If he ordered people to cage babies, you'd think people would resign all over the place. Don't you think?
Yes.
Okay. Well, speaking of our courts and prison reform, as I said, the new book is called Charged. It's about mass incarceration. How does the United States stack up in terms of mass incarceration in the world?
Well, it has many, many more people in prison, 2.2 million people in prison and jail right now, than any other comparable country. And our rates are just off the charts compared to other countries. So in the 70s, this was not true. Up until the 70s, the United States had the same kind of incarceration rate as Scandinavia. They kind of stuck with that pattern, and we have our incarceration rate has risen 5 times over since then. Our incarceration
What made
numbers.
the difference? Why are we no longer Norway?
Well, we had a rise in crime, and we had politicians, starting with Richard Nixon and lots of people since then, who scared a lot of voters into supporting much tougher sentencing laws. Then crime fell, but we kind of stuck with those sentencing laws. They're an artifact. And prosecutors, who are the main subject of my book, the kind of story of my book, they are, I would argue, the missing piece of the incarceration puzzle, because they were able to amass a tremendous amount of power, partly just because there are more of them, and also because of mandatory sentences, which really give the decision-making authority to the actor in the system that brings charges, as
so
opposed to
if you bring the charge, the sentence is already baked in. The judge can't have any leniency there.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, last week, Trump hosted a celebration of, is it called the First Step Act? Which is a sort of baby step of criminal justice reform. What is the First Step Act, and is it a big deal?
The First Step Act does a little bit to reduce the sentences of nonviolent drug offenders and some to improve prison conditions. In terms of numbers, it's a baby step, just like you said. It won't affect very many people, partly because federal prisons are not the real story in America. The real story are state and local prisons. The real power of the justice system lies in cities and counties. And so the story that I got the most excited about telling in my book involves an effort across the country, a social movement, to change who the district attorney is, to elect a new kind of district attorney who is promising to reduce incarceration. And we're seeing that movement bubble up around the country. So if you're asking me what really matters in the criminal justice debate, it's not the First Step Act. It's this local movement. You don't need Washington for this. In fact, Washington's kind of a sideline show. What's really happening is happening city by city, county by county across the country.
Well, thank you so much for being here. So
Thank
great
you
to see
for
you
having
again.
me.
Charged is available now. Go get it. Emily Bazelon, everybody. We'll be right back.